Good evening and welcome to the June 18th meeting of the Glenville Town Board. Please rise for the invocation and pledge of allegiance. Dear God, we meet here today in your name. Your Spirit binds us together in respect, dignity, and service. Gather our community together now and in the future. Give us the grace to look beyond our divisions and guide us to see the oneness to which all of your people belong. Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please call the roll.
Councilman Martin?
Here.
Councilman Pittavani?
Here.
Councilman Ramshaw?
Here.
Councilwoman Wozzowski? Here. Supervisor Ketzler?
Here, as you can see, there's not a real lot on the agenda, but we do have first thing we have is a table of item number 12. We will not be taking up the resolution approving the minutes of June 4th tonight, so that has been tabled. And then after item 13, I will ask for the board to consider an executive session to discuss personnel matters. You are, of course, free to stay here. We go into the room, into executive session. We do not anticipate any further business after item 13, so if you want to stay, you're free to, but we do not anticipate coming out to discuss any more business the rest of the evening, just so you know. And with that, I will start with town council reports on my left with Councilman Ramshaw.
Just one item, Mr. Supervisor. The Oktoberfest Committee has decided to move the Oktoberfest from Richmore Aviation based on parking limitations to Malvern Park. It's going to be September 27th.
Thank you. Councilman Wozzowski.
Yes, the bulk item pickup is in its second week, which is the last week of bulk item pickup. They are currently still going around the town. I'm not quite sure where they are, but if you're not sure if they're coming to your neighborhood yet, or if they've come already, you can go to the town's website and check where they have been and see where they will be next. That's it.
Councilman Martin.
No report.
Give you a chance to take a drink. Councilman
No report.
Okay. So we'll move quickly to item number 5, privilege of the floor. I'll start with those who have signed up. We have 4. And then if you still wish to be heard, if you have not signed up, raise your hand and we will call you to the podium. First person to sign up is Denise Chrissy.
All right, well, I'm back, and it's not for good reason. I wouldn't be here tonight except for the fact that we on Church Road are again being subjected to extremely loud, unnecessary, dangerous, annoying, obnoxious, threatening, and life-altering intrusion of non-stop gunfire from the property that is owned by Joseph Butkup that runs directly behind our houses on Church Road. 100 feet separates the back of our property and other people's property and being in the line of fire. Mr. Bucka himself may not be firing the guns, but continues to give permission for others to do this. The last person thought nothing of shooting on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of June 6th through 8th for a total of 6 hours. We were spared on Friday with a short preview of what was to come. Perhaps you might remember that weekend. We were encouraged by the weathermen to go out and enjoy the beautiful weather because it was the first good weekend we've had. Unfortunately, the residents on Church Road did not have that time of peace and quiet. We didn't have that time to enjoy our property on that Saturday from 12:30 to 2:30 and again on Sunday from 1:30 to 3:30. A high-powered rifle with 10-round clips being shot with a short break, just enough to put another clip in, and then 10 more rounds, went on continuously for 2.5 hours. Who does that? That is not target shooting. That is just shooting for the sake of shooting. It never stopped, so I lost track after 300 rounds. So if you would like to get a calculator and figure it out, go ahead. According to the town board, the last time we were here, you told us to call the police. So several people called the police. When I called The dispatcher said, yes, we're aware, several people have called the police. The police came up, and it absolutely did no good. As a matter of fact, the policeman made it very clear that he was pro-gun, and he had no problem with him back there shooting. After he said that, he and the other police lady, I think her name was Meredith, went back, talked to the gentleman who was shooting, and then he stopped. I happened to catch the policeman as he was backing back up the road, and we had a very long conversation, and I told him I did not appreciate his attitude of immediately saying he was pro-gun. I don't need to know that. I'm pro-gun. What difference does that make? The idea was that we called you because the town told us to. He then said after that, well, that's just because the town doesn't want to do their job. And I said, well, whatever you would like to say, I don't care. We were told to call you, and we did. So the next day, after this man was told by the police that he was really disturbing the neighborhood and people were very upset about it, he came back again from 1:30 to 3:30 and did the exact same thing again. And I only know it went to 3:30 because after a while I couldn't stand it and I left. My husband was there and he told me what time they stopped. Now there's a gun club right down the road. It's not even a mile and a half down the road. There is a gun club. Our backyard is not a gun club. Realizing that this could be the story of yet another summer spent in fear, a petition was started to help impress on all of you how tired the majority of the people on Church Road are of this residential neighborhood being invaded by people who don't allow us to enjoy our properties anymore. A letter to the Gazette was written, and I received a huge amount of feedback from people all over the county about that, and they really thought it was a good letter. And I thought it was pretty good too. Taking the petition around was truly eye-opening about everybody's feeling about this neighborhood being turned into what sounded like a war zone. Out of all the homes I went to, only 2 declined, and the reasons that they gave were just as interesting. I found it very interesting to hear everybody's point of view. One person who declined to sign was and is in active military duty, and guess what he does? He runs the firing range for the military. Do you think it bothers him? Of course not. It's like, mosquito buzzing by your head. But yet, after we had quite an interesting conversation, he says, but when it starts, I get my granddaughter and I pull her in towards the house. I won't let her be out there. So even with this military man who runs a firing range, he is afraid for his granddaughter's life with all that shooting going on. Another person did not want to sign it because he's pro-gun and he was worried it might be a pro-gun issue. This is not a pro-gun issue. This is a pro-right to enjoy your property issue. The rest who signed all gave the same account of what they do when the shooting starts. They either retreat to their home, close the windows, close the doors, turn on the stereo, turn on the TV to try to eliminate the noise that drove them inside, or they just get in their cars and get away from all this intrusion. Why do they go inside or leave the area? Because most people are not used to the sound of threatening gunfire. We are all used to the gun club. Everybody in our area, we can all hear the gun club. You hear a shot, then there's a pause. Then you hear another shot, and they're checking the target, there's a pause. With what we have to endure, there's never a pause. Nobody's checking a target. Nobody cares. They're just shooting for the sake of shooting. But this intrusive gunfire in our backyards is something that nobody is really used to. Even a guy who was in the military told me, he said it would stop after half an hour. He was astounded that it went for 2.5 hours. And he said, where are they getting all this ammo from? Try as hard as we might, it is very hard to separate the horrible noise from the fear, the feeling of being in danger, the feeling of being threatened and helpless to do anything about it. With the way things are in this country today, with the fact that there are random shootings all the time, you can't get away from it, you can't separate that sound from danger. It is impossible to do that now. It puts fear in your heart, especially when it's so close to your property lines. Now, regarding the noise ordinance via the email that you sent me, Chris, being subjective. Well, we're being subjected to unwanted, unnecessary, and dangerous noise at any random time. It startles people, it makes some people extremely fearful, it chases people from their homes, or it chases people into their homes. If this is not an intrusion of noise pollution on our part, being put on us, on people's lives, then I would like to know what in the world is. It is basically bullying to the extreme. That's the only reason they're back there, is to bully everybody on that road. There's no other purpose but that. There's not one positive thing that comes from them shooting those guns whatsoever. Perhaps if I lived in a community called The Return, a subdivision off of Route 50 in Glenville, I might have a better outcome, because recently Capital Land Motors announced that they are going to expand their business after buying up some homes on Route 50. Well, the people of The Return raised some concerns about perhaps the garage and mechanical noises being brought closer to their property lines, and that would take away from their quiet residential neighborhood and intrude on their expectations for their lifestyles. But I was so glad to hear that the town of Glenville assured them that they need not worry, that they would make sure that this noise would never find their way into their lives. You know, wow, I'm saying we're over at our place dodging bullets and feeling threatened, and they get assurance that they won't have to hear an oil change or perhaps a lug nut being removed. Here we are struggling to something that's so-called subjective noises. I suggest the only subjective is because the town chooses not to deal with it. Every person on this road has a right to come home from a hard day of work or a hard week of work and get regenerated, relax, and enjoy 100% of their land. Every person living on Church Road has things they have to deal with, whether it be a personal illness, a death of a family member, a tragedy that has deeply affected their lives. Perhaps they're dealing with something very stressful at work. I don't know. But everybody deals with that thing, and just as you guys all do. You know what? Personally, every day of my life, I deal with the death of 2 of my children. And I struggle with that. And to have to listen to that noise, that horrible noise all the time, it doesn't help anybody. If only the people who shot all the time would take this into account, they might think twice. But you know, that's never going to happen, ever. This is an unreasonable situation being forced on innocent people by unreasonable people. I would like you to picture for a moment in your heads. You have a neighbor who has a Harley, a really nice Harley, a Harley that makes a lot of noise because he wants to make sure he doesn't get hit by anybody. So now this guy is working on his Harley, and on a Saturday afternoon, he decides he's going to drive it up and down in front of your houses for 2.5 hours straight. You got to listen to that all day long. Finally go out and ask him, could you please stop that? I'm having a party. I can't hear anything my guests are saying. Oh, sure, whatever. The next day, the same thing again. But you know why he's doing it? Because he can. Because he can get away with it. And he's doing it. And he's ruining your day. But you know what? Don't worry about it, because that noise can't kill you, unlike the guns. The town code clearly states in section 270-91 the creation of any noise that causes public alarm, which it does, disturbs the public's comfort, which it is, and repose, which it does, is not to be tolerated. That is your town code. If you're not going to enforce it, just throw it out. When a noise represents a threat to public health, safety, and welfare, which is in 270, section 89. This represents a threat to public health. I mean, we're all going to become mental cases if you don't stop this soon.
Please, I'm sorry, I'm just going to ask you to summarize. We've gone over time. You can just summarize.
Okay. Sorry about that. Well, if there's ever noise that fits these two sections, that would be it. I have a petition, I would like you to check it over. We have many signatures. There's a lot of people who have signed this, and we would like you to do something about this because we feel like we're being bullied. Can you imagine trying to sell your house on a Sunday afternoon when this is going on? Guess what? You're not going to sell it at all. And here is the petition. You're welcome to it. I have copies, so you can keep this. But anyway, I would appreciate your consideration in this matter.
Just ask Denise, who was the police officer that responded? Meredith and him?
Meredith, and I think the other man's name was Mark, but I'm not sure. And we did talk about his remarks about being pro-gun, and we did get that settled between us.
What was the date and time on that, do you remember?
That was Saturday. I believe that was June
This past Saturday?
the 5th,
That's-
I believe.
7th, June 7th?
7th? No.
Saturday was the 7th. Do you know what time roughly? Is that like
That would be June the 7th.
Yeah.
He was there probably around 2 o'clock, and he also did make the comment that between the time that he walked down there were 3 rounds, and I'm talking 3 rounds of 10 that were fired, and he was really surprised at the amount of ammo that was shot. He did say that, but we did straighten out his comments,
Okay,
okay?
thank you.
Thank you.
Next person signed up, we have Donna Ringwald.
Thanks, Clerk.
Donna, I was in your neck of the woods the other day, right on Green Corners Road.
Well, that's
Westwind Farms is that area?
Yes, you should have stopped in.
Should have stopped there.
Hi, my name is Donna Ringwald. I live at 919 Green Corners Road. And I'm calling today. I actually called Chris and left a message, but he was out of the office, so he wasn't able to return my call. This is about that new dispatch call center in Schenectady County. My neighbor, she just moved in the beginning of June. Her dog was missing due to the thunderstorm last night. So she came over to see if we had seen it. I said, no, but we'll keep an eye, blah, blah, blah. So I gave her the new dispatch number because I got an email with that 630-0911. So she said she was gonna go call. I said, yeah, alert them to let the dog warden know, because the dog had a collar but no tags. She called the number. Meanwhile, I called a bunch of neighbors to see if they had seen the dog. And I called her back and I said, could I get a picture of the dog? And she says, oh, I got home because she went up and down the road calling his name. She got home, he was huddled on the porch in a ball because he was afraid. She said she was disappointed when she called the non-emergency number. She called, and I actually had to call her back to get verification of who she was transferred to. She called Schenectady, they transferred her to Amsterdam. She called Amsterdam, they said, no, you gotta call Montgomery County. She called Montgomery County, they sent her to Glenville. She called Glenville, they sent her back to Amsterdam. She said, I just wanna know who I need to deal with to get the information to the dog warden. The gentleman hung up the phone. So she was upset, but she didn't want to deal with it, so she went to work. And I was in my garden and I was thinking about it. And I'm going, okay, I don't know, I've never had to call 911. I've called the number here in years past. I've had 911 called for me because I had fainted back in October, and they responded very quickly. So I was concerned, okay, does 911 go to the same place as the non-emergency number? So I came in the house and I got my book out and I called the old number and it led me to the 630 number. I got a really nice lady on the phone, I didn't catch her name, and she told me that the reason that it got transferred, in her guesstimation, the reason the lady got transferred to so many different places was because the people at the UCC are not familiar with all the street names in West Glenville. I said, so you mean to tell me if I call here at 911, I could be transferred to somebody else, to somebody else, to somebody else, because I'm up in the point. Yes, I'm Amsterdam mailing, Amsterdam school, but I'm Schenectady County, Schenectady phone, and Schenectady taxes. I said, so my husband, my dog, my neighbor, myself, we could die because I'm keeping different phone numbers to call because I'm in a sort of a little bit of a predicament because of my county and my area and my zip code and everything else. I said, this is unacceptable. I said, I understand why, the big picture, why they consolidated, but I don't agree with it. I can call here any time of the day, which I have, and I've gotten a person and I've gotten a response. And I understand it was just my neighbor lost a dog for a little while, but if it's a 911 emergency, that's unacceptable. So I don't know what your feelings are, but And for the lady to tell me they don't know the streets out our way, that's unacceptable. I said, you can't punch up my address and it tells you what county I'm in? And she said, well, it just gives us major street intersection. That's unacceptable.
Was it a dispatcher you spoke to?
Yeah, when I called, but I didn't get her name, but she was very nice, very understanding, and I understand she probably has to be that way because of her job, because she probably gets a lot, and I wasn't unnice to her, I just was matter of fact. If I had an emergency, whether my dog's lost, or I pass out or saw my arm off cutting down a tree, I don't want to get told to call somebody else. You know, so I don't know, as a taxpaying citizen, I don't want to have to worry about them telling me that I'm calling the wrong place when I know in fact I'm calling the right place. So I don't know, for what it's worth, I just wanted to air my,
Just remind me, when was the dog, the phone call made about the lost dog?
this morning, because she came over to my house at 7:30 this morning, and I talked to her just after 8. And, because I was calling a bunch of neighbors to say, hey, you know, if you happen to see a dog, his name is Bear, giving them all the information, and then I called her to get a picture, and she was just beside herself. And then I called her back to get the rundown of who they sent her to, because I didn't really pay attention the first time. And she gave me all the information. She wanted to come to the meeting. She's a new neighbor, but she had a 6:30 meeting, so she wasn't able to make it. So, and I actually told her I'd give her Chris's number if she wants to call Chris and discuss it with him, because, you know, and my problem is I went to the garden and had too much time to think about it. But I just don't think it's right, and I wanted to cover all my bases and know, does that number, the 630-0911, take you to the same place the 911 does? And they do.
Say that again, 630.
0911. That's the new non-emergency number.
No, that's the central dispatch.
I think it's a central dispatch, not emergency.
Well, yeah, well, it is, but it's for people from the town of Glenville to call.
But they'll get dispatched.
But if I could just avoid a little confusion here, the 911 system has been in place for quite a few years now. The 911 system works on where your call comes from, and it is generated from a database that gives the dispatcher all the information on what fire department to call, what police department to call, what county you're in. When you call from the phone and you just tell them where you are, they search a different database, and they are getting used to that, I'm sure, and you are right that the people that are answering are collective dispatchers from the county, so you may have gotten a Rotterdam dispatcher who is not sure where that is, so they have to search their own database there or bring it up on their screen, which doesn't give an excuse why you were transferred back and forth, but just to set your mind at ease, the 911 is totally different. If you dial 911, they get all the information right away, and it's not something they have to look up.
But I guess what I don't understand.
But it is the same people.
Yeah,
That's
but what I
it.
don't understand is if you call a non-emergency number, why can't they get the same information, whether it's 911 or the 630-0911, to know your address, to know that you're in that county that you're calling about? It's the same computer screen. She gives them her address, 855 Green Corners Road. They should know that it's in Schenectady County.
There is two different databases that they search. The E911 is automatic. As soon as that phone call is made, the telephone, they know where it's from. And in fact, if you remember, when we went to cell phones, we had to pay extra money and stuff so that they could locate where cell phone calls are coming from also. So they know exactly where they are, and that database brings up the correct information. The dispatch database that everybody is working out of now, you're right, it gives you the main cross street to help get there, and there is going to be a little bit of, things to work out as this takes place. And if you read the papers, we weren't all exactly 100%
No,
into
I
this
don't get the
dispatch.
paper. I refuse to read that. But,
We have these concerns, and,
Yeah.
And not to change the subject a little bit, but they had a flea market on Route 5 at Katie's Attic on June 7th. And I was told there was 3 automobile accidents. One was at 9 o'clock at 9:30 in the morning, give or take. And actually, my neighbor that lost her dog today, when I talked to her, she was at the flea market. And she said it took a very long time for the police to respond to that accident. And the lady that owns Derelict Springs, Gail Rossioli, said that she heard it took over 18 minutes for the police to respond to the accident. And it was a lady and her son in the car. So, and I guess they didn't bother calling after for the second two accidents because it took so long for the first police officer
Well,
to
we need the
respond.
details so I can
Yeah.
research that, because
Yeah.
it may be that the officer was on a call, it may not necessarily be
Yeah.
a dispatch issue.
But, you know, I just don't want to end up having a problem at home and
Right.
them saying, well, you're in the wrong county, you're trying to call this one.
Councilman Pippin,
I'll just call your cell phone.
There you go. I'll make sure they get out there. But he's absolutely right. The 911 system's built with different money that unfortunately I just can't build all incoming calls to pop up where you are. So they do treat emergency and non-emergency calls differently as you would imagine. So I think they're still working through some bugs. And we'll certainly take these comments back to the police chief and I sit on the advisory board for the UCC. So I will bring this back to them as comments we're getting from the residents.
Now, if for future reference, if my dog's missing or her dog's missing again, and we want to call the dog warden, which I used to call the 384-3444 number, they would get it to Rick.
Yeah.
Do I still call this 630 number? Or is there a different way to get a hold of Rick?
There's a town, there's a phone tree that will get you to different departments within the police department here. I don't have that number on me right now. It was publicized, it might even be on the website as well.
Okay.
We can find that. But after the 9 to 5, it's not going to be an answer.
Yeah.
Or if you call the 0911, it'll get answered at the dispatch.
Okay. I just like things to run smoothly.
And currently, after business hours, we don't have a dog patrol officer on. So that might be part of the confusion. If it was prior to business hours, 7:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, they may have thought that maybe Montgomery County had someone on or
No,
something.
this was after 7:30, because that's when she came home in the morning.
After 7:30. Yeah, so that's earlier, that's not business hours yet. So our dog patrol starts at 9.
Okay. I know where Rick lives, I'll go to his house.
All right.
All right, thanks.
Thank you very much. Next person we have is John Reynolds.
Chris? Board? I only do this so I don't forget what I'm talking about. I won't take as much time as Denise because I'd be up here for hours. That's why I write it down. Of course, she wrote hers down too. She has plenty to say also. My name is John Reynolds. I live at 212 Church Road. This has a lot to do with the gunfire behind our house. It's been going on for a year and a half at least. Well, I'm just going to read this short statement. First of all, I believe in the Second Amendment, and I do belong to a shooting range in Saratoga. It's a safe and controlled range. My brother was a commander sergeant major in the Army and helped to protect our rights to bear arms in the United States. 10 years ago, my brother got killed on a planted memorial tree in his honor in my backyard that I have maintained for years. Mr. Bucket and his friends, Joey Bucket, and his friends destroyed and cut down this memorial tree, which has been reported and is going to Supreme Court now. Just before Memorial Day, I put a nice flag of flowers on this memorial site. Then Mr. Bucket replaced this with a planter of dead flowers on top of where the tree used to be. And there's many things that he destroyed, but this is the most important thing to me and my wife and my family and my mother. Well, anyway, this is the kind of neighbor that we have to live with every day. This gunfire you're hearing, the only reason he's doing it is not for any other reason except to disturb us. This was with his gunfire, his ATVs with no mufflers. He took the mufflers off a couple weeks ago just on purpose. Tom Fonda had a dispute with him last night with the no mufflers in the ATVs. The cops are there every week. Every week, the cops are called for Mr. Bucket. They must be going out of their minds over there. Well, anyway, he's doing all this just to disturb all us neighbors. I have no idea why he has a dispute against us. It's not just one individual or two individuals. You're talking 17 property owners that border his land. We have to deal with this every day. Every day. My wife has given up her garden. Everybody in this neighborhood is just giving up their ways of life. They don't even want to mow their lawn. Because as soon as he finds out somebody's in their backyard, let's go have some fun. Let's go turk it. You know what that means. All right, thank you.
Thank you. The next person we have signed up is Margie. Can you give me up for the last name? Okay.
Nice.
Really nice.
I've just been concerned about some of the things that I've been hearing about the building going on, or proposed building going on, in, starting in Glen Oaks, and I guess there's a proposed road going through on Baldwin Road to Snake Hill. I don't know much about it, and I've just been hearing a lot of different voices, of people complaining and kind of shaking their head like there's nothing they can do about it. I read on the website that the majority of people are not for this proposed building. And I'd just like to say that I hear a lot of discord.
Is this the Emmett Road project?
Yes.
Okay. I have not heard anything about a road cutting through Baldwin. I don't believe that's accurate. Kevin, I know you deal with that daily. Have you heard of any road?
Well, it was discussed early on as a possible connection for the proposed subdivision, but
But the county shot it down.
the county,
Okay, I did not hear that. I heard that trees were actually tagged and building, it was more or less done.
There's been some surveying going on, I know that,
Okay.
but just surveying for the infrastructure.
they did some soils sampling, they were digging holes 2 Fridays ago. So there was construction equipment in there, track hose, digging holes. I haven't seen any marking of trees.
No. That's-
Okay.
Yeah.
I
And it's
just,
not an improved project yet.
okay, I just wanted to put that out there and say that I've heard a lot of talk.
I would also suggest that if you have an opportunity to visit the Planning and Zoning Commission, they're the ones that are responsible for approving or not approving the project. Their meeting dates, I don't have in my head, but if you go to our website, you'll see their meeting dates for the Planning and Zoning Commission. You may want to share some of your comments with them as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I don't have anyone else signed up. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
May I speak?
Oh, absolutely. We like the first and the second.
Pardon?
We like the first and the second. Free to speak.
I'm Thomas Bond. I live on the corner of Church of Second August, 795 Second August. I'd like to explain to you what happened last night. It's been suggested to me by 2 board members that are sitting here to take pictures because I have to go to court tomorrow to be a witness against Mr. Buckus. What I did was go across the road, walk in the middle of the road, on the side of the road, and I was taking pictures. I was yelled at, screamed at, given the finger. I turned around and walked back, kept a couple more pictures. One of the individuals was going to pull his pants down and moon me. I said, go ahead and do it, I'll take pictures of you. Then he turned around, brought his unmuffled ATV, parked it right across from my wife. My wife's a very ill woman. I don't need the stress for my wife. And if you don't call this harassment, I don't know what you do. He parks it in front of right in front of our house, and Gina knows where I live. He says to me, I started walking over toward him, I says, Dion, let me talk to you. And he wouldn't talk to me. He says, I'm leaving that thing there till 9 o'clock tonight. I'm gonna let it run all night long just to make you pissed off. I said, well, you gotta grow up, kid. It's not a thing. So I called the police. Police come over and said, there's absolutely nothing to do with harassment. So what do you call harassment? He said, you gotta be right close to each other to be a harassment. And I find that to be disturbing. And a remark was made to me that he's got to grow up. This came from the police officer. And I got to go tomorrow night for a meeting. So that you know what happened. It's an ongoing battle. It's ridiculous. And you can say all you want about the east side of Glenville, but this is the west side. We're entitled to the same kind of considerations as the east side. It's foolish. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard? Seeing none, we'll close privilege of the floor. And the supervisor's comments which are fairly brief. Just a few items I wanted to touch on quickly. And in no particular order, but we do have some things that we need to talk about at the next work session. And one of them, it relates to agricultural farm stands in agricultural districts. There's been a suggestion that somebody would like to open an agricultural farm stand out in West Glenville Road. And right now, the town's response through interpretation of the code was that this farm stand's not allowed because it's dealing with selling of meat that's raised on that farm. And I think there's some question if that interpretation is correct or not. So I think we need to talk about it a little bit. I know we talked, Jim and I had mentioned that it should probably go to the ZBA for interpretation. But I just think as a general zoning question, perhaps that should be maybe on the next work session, unless we send it to the ZBA first, let them give it their interpretation and go from there. I think it's just a question of timing on that, how long that will take, but that's out there. I had an opportunity to go out and visit the farm and speak with the farmer, and it's something we need to talk about. And speaking of zoning, the other thing I just wanted to mention, I know Kevin, Councilman Martin and I will be meeting Friday on discussing the start of the rewrite of the comprehensive plan. We will address some of these issues and larger issues, but that will start on Friday, and that will start, I think, a long process for the rewrite. As I mentioned earlier here tonight, there was a meeting with the folks at the return last night. I do disagree that the folks in the return are being treated differently than anybody else in the town, or that the folks in West Glenville are being treated any differently than anyone else in the town. And we can address those individually with the residents that have made those assertions, but needless to say, we gave the folks in the return the same consideration we gave the folks in West Glenville. I took my time to go out and talk to the folks in the return, like I did go talk to the folks on Church Road about their issues. The folks in the return have been generally very supportive of the zone change. We had about 15 people or so show up. Most of them understand the need to Subaru to expand, that they would lose the brand if they don't, we lose jobs if we don't. But they are just concerned about, as it goes through the process and as it goes through site plan review, that planning and zoning does their job and make sure it's a tight site plan review. So it was a good meeting. It was generally supportive. There are certain issues that Kevin and I have we took notes. We'll bring back to planning and zoning and to you, but most of it's lighting, noise, traffic, those types of things you could imagine. Kevin and I also had the opportunity, speaking of the traffic, to visit with DOT out on Wolf Road, and we brought to DOT 7 specific concerns we have in the town regarding particularly Route 50. You can imagine them, Town Center, Oak Hill, Lincoln area, the return, 15 Freeman's Bridge, and then down further at Freeman's Bridge with the where it goes to 2 lanes. And every concern we brought up, they did not really take issue with the fact that it's a problem, but their standard response was, we don't have any money and it's not on the list and it's not going to get done. Lights are anywhere from $250,000 to $500,000. Traffic control devices, not going to happen.
I disagree.
Well,
and
Jim, just let me continue. We'll talk more now. It's not. It's very clear, and Kevin, you can correct me if I'm wrong. The message is very clear. It's not going to happen. 50 is built up to the point where if they even can expand it, it's going to require taking a significant amount of property, which isn't in the budget either. They did give us some ideas about building arterial roads where we can maybe move people off of, but that's where we are right now with our meeting with DOT. We can discuss and re-approach at any time. I think that the good news is the dialogue is open. Kevin and I both walked out of there saying, the good news is they know about these issues, and they know that we're actively pursuing them. So that's the good news, and we can talk more on that. Also brought up tonight was the UCC. Apparently there's been a tentative agreement with labor. We'll be getting details on that, we hope, at some point, but it looks like we'll be maybe ratifying the advisory board will be ratifying a labor agreement at some particular juncture. Maybe as early as tomorrow, but I haven't seen anything as far as the agreement, so I don't know if it's ready for tomorrow or not. We mentioned we'll be taking up a resolution tonight on the Mohawk Tap Room. Just wanted to mention I had an opportunity to go in there today, had lunch, met the owner, great place, recommend it. The ribbon cutting is set for July 17th. If you can be there, they'll send more information out on it, but right now they've set that July 17th date. Today I attended a ribbon cutting at an independent living group on Route 50 that opened up right across from Portsmouth Farm. It's a great organization. They work with elderly people, they work with people with brain injuries, veterans who are returning back on a whole bunch of life skills and everything from finding a job to rehabilitation. It's a really neat place. If you have an opportunity to stop in, I would recommend it just to kind of introduce yourself and wish them well, because I think they're doing some important work in our community. Very last piece, I want to touch on our financial situation just briefly, because every board meeting I like to update this. The CPI came out, it bumped up a little. We talked about the tax cap and being down around 1.4 or so. The CPI is up a little bit now after 11 months. It's at 1.52, so it gives us a little bit of room. Hopefully that 12th month will come in and bump it up some more. But this increase provides us about $6,000 more in allowable levy for 2015 as we stand right now. So it's not a lot, but that's where we are. The bad news is the mortgage revenues continue to be abysmal, as we talked about. We all thought this comeback was going to happen. There's still room for that comeback to maybe happen because, of course, the reporting lags a little bit from the season. We'll see what this summer brings, but we came in about $38,000 this month, which is our second worst month in 3 years. Our only February of this year was worse, so it seems like the trend actually has gotten worse after the winter. After 8 months of our mortgage year, we were down almost 30% from last year and still on pace for about $550,000 this year. Last year we collected $803, just so that gives you some perspective. And our 2014 budget is $675, so we could be a full, somewhere about $150,000 off in revenue on that line. So just something we have to continue to talk to our department heads about, continue to be aware of as we go through the remainder of what's left for the mortgage year. So that's all I have. Any questions or comments? Thank you. Okay, so back to the agenda, and on the agenda we have resolution number 7, which is scheduling a public hearing for Wednesday, July 16th at 7 p.m. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, this is a resolution that proposes to eliminate, setting a public hearing regarding a proposal to eliminate multifamily dwellings from the general business zoning district. The public hearing as proposed in this resolution is for Wednesday, July 16th at 7 p.m. Here in this room.
Excellent. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Pittavani?
Yes.
Councilman Ramotari?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next resolution, Resolution 8, scheduling a public hearing yet again for Wednesday, July 16th. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, this is a resolution that calls for the public hearing to hear public concerns or comments over the establishment of a one-step site plan review process instead of our current two-step process. This is intended to help make the process more efficient without any loss of actual substantive review. And again, it's scheduled, as you indicated, for Wednesday, July 16th at 7 p.m. here in this room.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Pittavani?
Yes.
Councilman Ramichardt?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next resolution, Resolution 9, authorizing payment to a resident to settle a claim. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Just for point of discussion, this resolution relates to the necessary water infrastructure repair done at Spearhead Drive for Joanne McNulty. The Commissioner of Public Works has obtained some bids for repair that we would have to make at 1142 Spearhead Drive because there was some damage sustained there. The lowest bid totaling $573.75 was accepted by the Commissioner, and the resident has chosen that instead of having the repair done at the town's expense, that they would ask for a sum cash payment that is equal to any responsibility the town has to repair the driveway. The Commissioner of Public Works, in consultation with the attorney, has been satisfied that such proposal is deemed to be just and reasonable and in the best interest of the town of Glenville. So this resolution would, in lieu of fixing the driveway, pay the resident the amount of $573.75 to settle the claim. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Pittavani?
Yes.
Councilman Ramichardt?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next resolution 10, authorizing ready fund money. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
Second?
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, I think this will be the last allocation out of the Ready Fund for our sign grant program. If you may recall, we had an ongoing program to aid in the repair of unsightly signs in the community. There is a balance. The program originally would do a maximum up to $3,000. There is a balance of $910.14 remaining in the program, and the recipient of this grant award would be the previously mentioned Mohawk Tap Room. So seems like a worthy cause, helping a new business.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Pittavani?
Yes.
Councilman Ramichardt?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next resolution, Resolution 11, approving town monthly department reports. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Approving monthly department reports for May.
No, just a show of hands, who received all these reports? Have you seen all these reports?
I'd have to look and see exactly which ones I've received.
I recall the planning department and the dog control,
Yeah.
but I can't say that I've seen all of these.
This is in your
I have
hand.
Justice right here.
Okay.
Justice just
I
came
didn't
in.
get Section 8 voucher program.
I didn't get Section 8, I didn't get highway,
I did get town clerk, I
I
think.
didn't get town clerk.
I thought the assessor sent it, I'm just trying to remember.
Assessor I got.
Assessor.
Assessor I got. I have not seen the Section 8 voucher program, I've not seen,
James submitted, didn't he?
he did. Oh, these are from May, yeah. I didn't see a
Oh, then
highway.
I definitely saw highway from May.
You did?
He always sends them out, yeah,
You did?
yeah.
All right, I did not see highway. All right,
So building department and Section 8 voucher, I don't see.
okay. Are we comfortable with recording the vote?
Yeah.
Okay. Please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Pittavani?
Yes.
Councilman Ramichardt?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
I'm voting no because I have not seen all of the reports. Resolution passes. We tabled number 12, and so we'll move on to 13 with new business. I'll start on my left with Councilman Brown.
Nothing good.
Councilwoman Rosbowski.
No new business, Mr. Supervisor.
Councilman Martin.
I think we need to have a discussion about Route 50 and DOT's involvement,
And we can do that. And we will do that.
because I do not accept that answer. I'm not questioning the message you and Kevin brought. I'm sure you delivered it in your usually effective manner. I've been in this position before with that agency, that department. You cannot accept that answer.
Okay, well, we can definitely arrange a time where we can sit down and talk.
It's just not acceptable.
And get another appointment and go back in.
Well, I'm not suggesting maybe another appointment, but we have a comprehensive plan we're revising. I can tell you what the comprehensive plan is gonna say in regards to Route 50 if I have any say about it. And then we'll see what they have to say.
So let's arrange a time to talk, Jim. Any other business?
No.
Councilman Pipelani.
I have no new business.
And I have no new business either, but we are going to call for an executive session to discuss personnel matters, so I'll entertain a motion for that.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Moved in second, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? An executive session. Again, we don't anticipate coming back out, so I wouldn't really suggest hanging out. Thank you.